on this lovely solstice day, feminine and masculine, they come together and unite in human form with self agency and love. That's for the secure attachment human beings and those who desire to get to their 0 1 year old. So, your 0 1 year old can be securely attached. I'm a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, and I'm your woo woo pseudoscience podcast host lady because not everybody believes in mystics, and because I bring human, spiritual, and spirituality elements together. I know the difference between those who think they are not flat earthers and they are, okay? And that's why woo. I'm okay with the woo-ness, and I do channel guidance, and there will be something for the lovely solstice and full moon tomorrow for my listeners. It won't be in video format. But for this, I want to share some beautiful notes. I did a short on it, and we're going to expand on it now. There's a song by this Neapolitan singer, songwriter, however those words go, and it's Tartaglia Aneuro. And the song translated, the title is The Sorcerer's Voice. And he has a sentence where he states, "You have a human in your body, now let them act. Let them be their agent." And it's beautiful because when you look at the sorcerer, for example, it uncovers the human psyche. When you have a self-agency relationship with you and you know your lens, and so this is important. If you have borderline personality, there's a lens. Narcissism, there's a lens. Psychopathy, sociopathy. So the good experts like Dr. Daniel Fox, they give you a lens that supports you to understand split thinking, black and white thinking, what can trigger you and how to work with those triggers. And it consistently involves a mindset. And then there's also people like me who support mindset overall, and anyone who's emotionally motivated and mentally motivated, because they are both within the mind, but the emotions will come up here. And you'll notice here, if you're a person who wants to dive deep or wants to run away. Okay, but if you want to be a real boy, real girl, real day, and you want to join us and do emotional stuff and not lifting, but for some people it will be lifting. However, you want to know that you're going to get out of a window of tolerance and into a window of welcome. So as long as you translate emotions to lifting, you're not going to choose, I want to motivate myself. When I hear attachment coaches informing people that secure attachment is boring, I say that's bullshit and it's not motivational. Let them know it'll be scary. It'll be a lot of things, fear and love, but not the type of fear I have. I have physical fear, although my panic attacks and when I get scared of some things, people tease me about it. Like with the earthquakes we've been having, I say my body does what it's supposed to do. The fact that I'm going to enter a physical state of fear doesn't make me feel ashamed. I thank you, body. That's it. And not to mention that we have all these bodies around us as a somatic empath, and with people who are knowledgeable, Tara Brock, Peter Levine, Bezel Vanderkolk, Stephen Porges, all of them after COVID, I remember learning about what I had already picked up on, the entirety of it, which I already as a 5D mystic knew. And so we're all a sound, but we're all nervous systems and we are vibration. And so while some people don't believe in this stuff, they can go with the flat earthers if you ask me, but whatever, they can go with whoever they want. I know the scientist people who do know that we pick up on each other, and that's because we're mammals, and that's how our nervous systems work. They call to each other or they perceive each other. So essentially, whenever we have something going on, I know that it's not just my household. I got a bazillion people around me. And then again, I also know it's not a big deal. And that's why when people make fun of it, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't support me, right? So when I know someone's not going to be emotionally supportive, I don't say, oh, that's an awful human being. No, I know they have non-bilateral integration, that they don't know how to be a real boy, real girl, real day, that they just shut off any type of compassion because they have lack of self-awareness of how they are using their tone, their mouth, and their actual capacity to tease a person, if you will. But I mean, again, there's plenty of stories I have with panic attacks, all of it. So I'm personally not a 1 year old that doesn't know how to tend to my nervous system, which is why it's not personal. In fact, it hasn't been personal since I was a teenager, because those teenagers, they still are teenagers as they get older. When you are, on the other hand, a human being who's self-aware with compassion, You're not going to do either or, meaning you're going to disengage from adaptive child, maladaptive child behavior. And that's where somebody who is not yet healthy self-worth, they will have spite, envy, jealousy. They will have little remarks, passive aggressive. So low self-esteem people. And that's the other part. It's actually not, again, offensive. It's something you'll pick up on. If you're a whole, meaning that you have no insecurities, I don't. And so I'm picking up on people. And if I have some doubt, I'm like, I don't need to doubt any of what I've chosen, but I'll contemplate it and then I might share it. And so when I'm unsure, I also know it's because I care. There's a situation, it's a sensitive one, and that's when it's personal and you're going to notice. So self-awareness is the way that you can be your self-agent. Oh, and thoughts and emotions are not irrefutable facts, not even a little bit. And that's why you get to grow more and more flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, and stable in your brain, as that is integration brain. So personal development, self-help, come on over. And let's continue with this lovely Solstice Day dedicated to this oneness between the divine feminine, the divine masculine, feminine energies, the masculine energies. That's what I talk about, but obviously don't use linearity, please, because this is the masculine, this is the feminine for me, and when I translate and do some of our chit chat. So with this song, as I want to conclude to move on to another topic today, he goes on to share towards the end, with the eyes that you see the sun, you stay still with fear and cry to not see. And so when he's talking about this the human suffering love narrative, so those individuals, they don't learn self-agency. They don't learn to become their ventral vagal state. And they can. There's enough information out there. But the part is about being self-aware, like I was describing with fear. So for me, fear is purely physical safety. I am not afraid of inadequacy. I'm not afraid if a person discards me, quote unquote. I don't even use that word, but I've been discarded. That's why I've moved beyond concepts like the one. I'm polyamory for a reason, and this is the part where for those of us who love authentically, we don't say it to just one person, by the way. I heard Sadhguru lecturing people, you can't say you love everything, because otherwise it means nothing. Not really. I can love all things if I want, because I'm in a secure attachment body, and the oxytocin gene hormone and love is always on because I'm happy inside, unless I have a tummy ache. So when you understand how our embodied brain works and the biochemistry, you can explain why you are always on. In the enlightenment soul age, again, this is where I live it all the time. It's not wine, Sadhguru. It's oh my gosh, it's bliss. Look up restorative embodiment, restorative embodied self. It's bliss, it's grace, there's nothing boring about being a differentiated 1-year-old with your own nervous system. It is everything that I ever heard described about once you move into something like this. And I can say there's a comparable, yes, specific energy, and it's beautiful. That's all I'm going to say. It's heaven in your body. So if you are keen, thank you, Sadhguru, on doing something about human suffering, attend to yourself first. Right here, your host has BBS on. So when I'm watching the sun, I'm not in the fear with the crying. While people who are still suffering loneliness from their 0-1-year-old, they're the ones who, when they look outside, they don't have the capacity to be their own safe haven or secure base. So to launch themselves into the world with a happiness. And I'm serious right now. The ones who say toxic positivity, they don't try it out. They don't keep trying to become more resilient. As long as you disengage from doing emotions and mental stuff in a way of knowing it's you choosing to expand you to a window of welcome more and more and more. Why? Why not? Why would you not? The lame excuse, well, people are fucked up. Why would I do mindfulness and journaling? Well, that's actually how you're going to witness, process, and make sense of the trauma stuff that comes up. We all have trauma charges. I don't have them because I didn't hide my emotions to myself. And I'm like, oh, of course I'm sad here. Of course I'm sad. Of course. Makes sense. Why wouldn't it? I didn't crap on myself for feelings because my mother didn't crap on me when I was feeling anything like a child, which is why I'm still a child, which is why fear does dominate me. Don't come near me if you're not going to play nice. I won't play with you at all. And you see the face, it's because as a teenager, all the teenagers, they tease, I didn't give a shit about fear, inadequacy. You think I fear being inadequate of people who are acting like that? You're all acting like morons. You're all acting unkind. It's not evil. This isn't evil. You seem like a joke. There's no story. What makes me happy in 2024? Imagination for evil? There is none. There's education. Any person who is in the scale of Michael Stone, they need a good therapist. Anyone who doesn't know how to be compersion, they need therapy too. They can go get therapy. You know what happens when they are? They're becoming empathic. You know what's beautiful is seeing somebody share how they're learning to feel emotional empathy or what, and you can tell that it's new because they're like, wow, I think I just felt this thing. And that's a real boy, real girl, real day. And you know how much work it takes for a person who has personality disorders and they were terrified in their first year of life to do that? I don't know it. I got it explained. And I know a little bit of it because I got a little sliver of trauma memory when I did the thing with fear with a professor of mine in one of my demos. And so any person who has a mantle saying, I have clairs, so I'm wearing a cross to bear. No, you're not. You don't wear a cross. If you have that much of a challenge with emotions, you go to good therapy. One, it's not a competition. Two, forgiveness is not something, oh, look, I forgave. Come and let me know how awesome I am for forgiving. Again, the tone says it all. So when you see people who are doing the work, you're like, okay, that person can do it. Narcissism. That person borderline is doing it too. Childhood trauma, doing it again. Look, attachment, doing it again. There's a buttload of people. They're doing hard work. For me, emotions are easy. I don't have suffering. And that's why the ones who don't want to see the sun, they just say, nah, no, Maria, evil wins. It's Luciferian area, don't you know? There's demons all over the place because of the volcanoes rising. They don't tend to the human suffering. Nope, they got people letting them know how we lack imagination for evil, and they will, oh, look, there's the truth right there. Sure. Heartstring, pain point, there's your leader, Peter Pan's Lost Boys, 7 of 14 charming. Spot them. I could do, like, what's that? Finding Waldo or whatever. Okay, so let me finish with Sadhguru. So you attend to yourself first for that human suffering bit and then to the people around you. And that is the best way to start. So with our ventral vagal state, we get to support each other to move into wholeness. For those who want, come on over. So for those of us who do see the sunrise, even if we don't want to see it, it will still have to rise in front of you. Okay, so the ones of us who do know, of course, the world's imperfect, flawed. We are so. I'm imperfect, flawed. I'm not afraid to do world. Now, afraid because, see, we all have different lifestyles. So, for example, I don't like driving. And it's because, am I afraid? I mean, I wouldn't say it's a fear, but I'm not a good driver. It stresses me out, not in a good way. So I don't need it necessarily. And luckily, we're going into an era where I'm hoping I can get the car with the driver that way, because I'm also not good with spatialness, like spaces and stuff like that. But anyways, I was just trying to give an example. Fear is a emotion that I'm comfortable with, but when it comes to emotions, I don't fear them. And what I have noticed is that people who do the human suffering bit, they have a karma wheel. In fact, Sadhguru shares with us that as well. Let me read to you. You create your own destiny. But as long as you create it unconsciously, you think it is decided by some other force. So people who do not become their inner child adults, yeah, they're Pinocchios with a wooden body. And they have ears sometimes and tails, and sometimes they stand on the island. They stay Cusco's, and sometimes they stay Cusco's and Pinocchio with Pachas. So it's not that they don't experience the people who are in the ventral vagal state. No, they do. Healthy, self-worth people. They don't move here because they live out the narrative of their childhood trauma stuff that they refuse to notice, and they stay in low self-esteem and direct communication, passive-aggressive, not knowing boundaries at all. And in fact, they control situations and they stay within the martyr superior, blamers, and victims. And what I'm going to say is Terry Real would be great for them. And that's because they will hopefully find someone, and therefore with that unfinished business, they can go to a good therapist, build a relationship, and those can be masculine and feminines that come together. As for those of you here today, for us, the ones who claim our 1-year-old, 2-year-old, and 3-year-old, we become our own whole. And you already have your masculine and feminine, but it's when you open yourself up to your heart, your body, and your mind, and when you can contain it. You can contain it, so that means you do notice, I have adaptive child, maladaptive child behavior. I talk shit in my head, and I flip back and forth, My emotions take over. I have hypervigilance. So there's all these great pieces of information. So when you're curious about you because you want to become a real boy, real girl, real day, meaning you know humanity, that's what you want to do. You want to be a human, okay? You're going to want to be the authentic self, self agency. You don't use a story, you use your human name. 5D mystics, come on over. The people who don't know their human name, I see them. Let's leave it alone for now. Um, Long story short, feminine, masculine, self agency, and love. It's people who are people, and we bring to each other pacha. We bring to each other functional adult relationships, healthy self worth, authentic communication, passion, you better bet. And it's not an up and down, up, no. There's a constant rise and always actually at a certain point here. It's amazing. It's amazing to be able to give you the list of ways to get here. Again, depends on what lens you begin with, the journey, but the journey is accessible for all of those who will actively pursue getting a hold of their safe haven, secure base capacity. As a human being who's learned from people, I'm still learning. I have data people, not Wendy's, who use philosophical and religious ancient textbooks to keep on talking about an entity that was described in such a way that makes me think of when we had no light whatsoever except for the moon. I'm going to say yes. Thank you, Patrick McNamara, for explaining the religious self, decentralization, how the REM works and worked for our ancestors, how it creates a conciliance or concilia something like that in the brain and helps us to think up new ideas. Guess what the dark sides of neuroplasticity do with imagination? They make up bullshit stories and they stigmatize groups of people with personality disorders according to movies and according to ancient philosophical and religious texts versus learning from academics who say, really, we shouldn't be doing this inherently good or evil. We all know about determinants. Thank you, Robert Sapolsky. We all know about people having trauma charges and backgrounds. So let's, we got laws. There's no need to cast no stones. There's no need for imagination for evil. We have education. And we have a forensic criminologist who gives us a lovely scale. Thank you, Michael Stone. 1 to 22. They all end up in prison. And some of them end up healed because they end up having good therapists that go to those prisons. And others, they end up dead. And that's sad. And then the 7 to 14 charming, well, we want to kind of get those ones. I know I'm going to make sure to have all the people that become their 1-year-old. Oh, it won't be hard to say, okay, let's gather around. Let's go find Waldo. Who's going to try it out with me? And that'll be fun. That'll be one of our first group exercises. Once we get there, I need to get you all to your 1-year-olds. Then we're going to go and prance around on YouTube. Okay, let's spot one. I'm kidding. Okay, thank you for tuning in. Share, like, subscribe. If you're interested in one-to-one mentorship, there's information on the website, inspiringhumanpotential.com, but you can also just reach out. My email should be in the YouTube description. Ask Maria is on our audio version alone, and that will be first membership content once we get to UK 1K. I'm confusing my words on YouTube. That's how a brain works because I'm thinking about our next episode before the light goes out, and that's because I do like the sunlight. It won't be here for the future. Okay, thank you. Have a wonderful solstice. And remember, we have a beautiful full moon tomorrow. I'm excited. Who's excited? Come and join us again. Have a great day.